All right, well, welcome everybody. I am super excited to introduce you today to my friend Victoria Veluz. And she is here to teach us about all of her beautiful pet portraits that she makes. So welcome, Vicki.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm so excited.
So, Vicki, can you start by telling us a little bit about how you got into art in the first place? How did you start doing art?
I loved cartoons growing up. I mean, you start off with stick figures, right?
Yes.
3 years old stick figures.
Yes.
And then eventually I started getting into a lot of cartoons. I loved Thundercats, so I would try to draw all my Thundercat characters. Cartoons were a huge part of my life because as kids you grow up like watching cartoons, right? And then
Yes.
you Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, all the classics.
So then
It's
can you
fun.
tell us a little bit about the kind of art that you do now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've been a full-time pet portrait artist for the past 3 years. And I started drawing dogs because I lost one of my boxers, 5 years ago, and just I missed her, and so I just started doodling her and posted some on my Instagram page, and soon people started finding me on Instagram. And at the time, I was a full-time graphic designer. I wasn't even doing pet portraits. And so when people started commissioning me to do their dogs, I was like, oh, maybe I could do this full time. So eventually I quit my graphic design job, and I was like, let's do this. This is what I went to art school for, to do art, classic traditional art. And let's dive in. Let's see what happens. Portraits.
A lot of pet portraits.
Yeah. Oh
Awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
So would
Fur
you be able
babies.
to show us like your workspace
Sure.
and a little bit about how what it looks like when you're drawing?
Oh yeah, sure. So let me switch over here. So this is my computer that I use for, looking at some of the reference photos. Like this is
Awesome.
actually my final drawing right now. So let me turn this around.
So we're looking at on your computer right there, just the horse right
Yeah,
there. That's one
yeah.
of your artworks.
Yes, that's a finished portrait in colored pencil right now.
Wow.
Yeah, but usually what's up on my screen is the reference photo
Yes.
for the pet or for the animal that I'm drawing at the time.
Okay. So it looks like you have a
Yeah.
dog in the works.
Yes, I do. So let me fully rotate this.
That's perfect. We
Okay.
can see great.
Yeah. So this is my next commission. Another boxer. I get a lot of boxer breed portraits because I own a boxer, and that's how I started really to get a
Awesome.
client. Like I had a niche, and there's so many boxer owners that they were like, "Ooh, you have a boxer. You do a lot of of this breed. Let me hire you." So that's really how I got started.
Awesome.
So let's see what I usually do first to prepare my drawings. I have, an iPad,
Uh-huh.
and I have installed Procreate on my
Uh-huh.
iPad. And, to prepare my drawings, I take the photo of the dog that I'm doing, and I import her like so. And
Wow.
I do a quick outline of the main features because
So
I want to. Yeah,
when
go
you do
ahead.
that outline, Vicki, do you draw
Mhm.
that by hand or is there a feature that
Yes.
lets you do it? So you draw.
No, I have my Apple Pencil,
Okay.
and Procreate is drawing tool. So
Perfect.
I draw everything by hand to
Okay.
get these outlines, because I want to be able to see the main features of the dog,
Yes.
and the more, the important proportions, like the eyes,
Yes.
nose, ears, and all of that, because you want your client to look at the portrait and say, oh, that's my dog, it's not anybody
Yes.
else's dog. So
Yes.
this is a tool I use to get the exact proportions.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then I print this out, the outline, and put it on paper and put it on my light box.
Okay.
So this is where I trace the actual outlines on the paper that I'm using. And
Awesome.
and then after I retrace this, then I start on the drawing.
Okay. And
So
then
go ahead.
so then when you're drawing on top of it, you
Mm-hmm.
what tools do you usually use to draw with?
For the outline, the trace part, or
Or when
the...
you're actually doing when you start to fill it in with the detail.
Oh, okay. So here's like a box of my main coloring. If it's in colored pencil, I use Prismacolor.
Uh-huh.
And so these are my main colors that I use. Lots of colored pencils. I do some graphite pencil work as well. And so I usually use 6 to 10 colors for most
Wow.
of the dogs, depending on the coloring of the dog, obviously.
Sure.
And yeah, it's like just a variety of colors and types of pencils that's been my go-to for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And then do you have
Thanks.
any commissions that people have ordered from you that you are able to show us right now that are
Yes.
finished?
Yes, definitely. So let me move this over. So I use a lot of tracing paper too to protect my work.
Yeah.
So I first actually started drawing black and white pencil.
Wow.
So let me open up the window so you could see it better. So
Wow.
yeah, this is a cute little Schnauzer puppy.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
so I know, right? It's just like you could stare at these dogs forever. They're
Yeah,
so
you
cute.
could. Well, especially because they're so realistic looking. And it's really cool to see how you go from the outline and then
Mm,
to the finish. So that little schnauzer that you just showed us, it started
yes.
out as an outline.
Yes, it did. I could show you that actually.
Oh wow.
Oh, here, Gianni.
Ah.
So that's Gianni. Can you see that okay?
Yes, that's
Yeah. So
awesome.
that's the outline.
Okay.
And then finished just like,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's another one.
Oh,
Colored pencil, another boxer.
beautiful.
So thank you. So I could show you the horse in real life.
Yes, show us
So
that
this is the
horse.
horse.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, this is Doc. Actually,
Beautiful.
these two, they're siblings. They're for the same customer.
Oh,
So
no way.
yeah, they're both brothers. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so she ordered 2 at once. So that was really nice.
Beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Here's just a black and white of another boxer.
Wow.
So yeah, like my go-to is black and white. That's where I started drawing, it's amazing what you could do with just, one shade of, not one shade, but like one tone really. So here's another one. Another boxer, brindle. So, different types of coloring as far as like textures, fur texture. The colored pencil one. Yeah,
So
I can,
Vicky,
yeah.
you're so humble about this, but can you talk a little bit about like how did you get the skills, do you think, to be able to draw like each individual hair or like can you talk a little bit about that process of like coloring in the dog? Because
Oh, yeah.
that's not an easy thing to do to go from the outline to the finished product. And I wonder if you can talk a
True.
little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So let me see if I could find. So let's go back to this. Usually I start with the darkest tones first.
Okay.
Just to get the values, because values are
Yes.
very important when you're
Yes.
trying to capture realistic subjects. And
Yes.
like if there's a dark shadow underneath that eyelid, make it really black, you
Yes.
know so I start with the darks first, and then I do midtones, and I color in like the browns first, just of one layer. You work in layers, a lot of
Yes.
layers with drawing, and then I eventually start, once I have the midtones in and I've captured all the highlights where I leave the white of the paper. I start drawing on top of it all the fur textures, the direction of the fur, and even how the fur adds shadow around the face.
Yeah.
Repetitive type of drawing. And a lot of people say, how do you do all of that? And it just takes practice.
Yeah.
Like there's no magic ingredient. The key is just doing the hard work of practicing your hand, practicing your motions,
Yes.
and eventually you don't even have to think about it, and it
Yeah.
just you get in a flow. the more you repeat things, you're more conditioned, like your muscles are more conditioned, you're mentally
Yes.
more conditioned. So anybody could do this. Like I always tell people, you can draw like this, you know.
Yes.
If you really want to draw realistic pet portraits, you could do this. It just takes a lot of practice.
Can I ask you about the role that mistakes play for you too? Because I ask all of my artists this because my students encounter mistakes a lot, and sometimes it can feel really defeating. So can you talk a little
Sure.
bit about your experience with mistakes and how you deal with them?
I mean, mistakes are bound to happen, especially in art. And you just roll with the punches. And a lot of the time when I do, like, I live stream a lot, like drawing, and I would drop my pencil and like it would make a dent or a mark on the drawing, and I'd be like, oh, what did I do? But then I find a way to fix it or erase it and cover it up with some other markings. And when
Yes.
you when people look at the portrait, they're not looking for mistakes, you know. And
Yes.
even if you did make a mistake, and you cover it up, or you make it work with your drawing, they don't know. Again, it's a learning process. I feel like all of the things that I've made mistakes on, I've grown from.
Hmm.
And it's for me, I've slowly learned not to be afraid of making those mistakes, because I know that I'll be able to fix it. This portrait right here,
Beautiful.
it's all ink dots. And when I first started it, I was like maybe halfway complete, and I dropped my pen, and I like kind of made like a line mark that's hard to fix
Yeah.
because this is all ink dots. So that one I had to start over. Like I
Yes.
found that the second time I did it, it was easier because I knew exactly where everything was going to go, and I didn't have to
Yeah.
think about it, and it was easier.
I
And it
love
took
that.
less time. It took less time actually, which is kind of
Yes.
crazy that how
Yes.
that happens.
I love that.
So I made this all in like 1 by 1 Lego pieces.
What?
Can you see that? Like, yeah. So I love cartoons, right? Bugs Bunny was one of my favorite cartoons. And I was like, oh, I love Lego too. So let's combine it and make some Lego art.
Oh my gosh, Vicky, that is so fun.
Right, it was like a way for me to relax too. It was just like it's fun, it's not work, and I enjoy both mediums, so you just have to find things that you love, and you're curious about, and just try it out. I've never done this before, and I was like, I wonder if this will work. So this is my
Oh,
latest commission. This is Daisy, another boxer. So it's a little bit bigger in size, but yeah. So
do you feel like you get to know the animals through drawing them?
I do. Because I actually ask the owners to give me like a short bio of their life.
Yes.
So I get to really delve into their soul, and it actually helps me while drawing them,
I love
and like,
that because I think a lot of
yeah.
times people think with art, you're just like looking at something and copying what you see. But I love that you're trying to
Mhm.
show like the soul of the animal through the portrait. You want the not just like realistic looking, but you want the person to feel the animal through the picture.
Oh, yes, I agree. And like the stories make me cry all the time, like their
Yeah.
background, their life, their past life, especially for dogs that have gone to Rainbow Bridge,
Yeah.
and it's really touching, some of their past lives. That
Well,
was fun.
Vicky, what a treat for us to see your work. That's really special for my students to be able to see this type of work and especially your process. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Sure, my pleasure.